two students from this event tonight are going to be competing in the state finals on March 5th in Tacoma. And tonight I want to welcome students from the following high schools: Battleground, Camas, Cedar Tree Christian, Hayes Freedom, Heritage, Ridgefield, Stevenson, Trout Lake, and Vancouver School for the Arts and Academics. Now I'd like to introduce Kelly McPherson. She is our EST 112 Poetry Out Loud Regional Finals Coordinator. Thanks for coming tonight, and I know you're going to enjoy this. So, Kelly?
Thanks, Tim, for being here this evening. So a quick note about tonight's program. Our judges will be scoring each recitation on several criteria, including physical presence, voice and articulation, dramatic appropriateness, evidence of understanding, overall performance, and accuracy. Each student will recite 2 poems. We'll have 2 rounds of recitation and then take a short break in between. Then we will conclude with the announcement of the 2 students who will be advancing to the state competition. So with that, I would like to go ahead and begin our competition by calling up Michaela Cloyd, Ridgefield High School.
Hello, my name is Michaela Cloyd, and I will be reciting Dirge in Woods by George Meredith. A wind sways the pines, and below not a breath of wild air. Still, as the mosses that glow on the flooring, and over the lines of the roots here and there. The pine tree drops, it's dead. They are quiet as under the sea. Overhead rushes life in a race as the clouds chase. And we go, and we drop like the fruits of the tree. Even we, even so.
Next, I'd like to call up Meg Fritz, Stevenson High School.
My name is Meg, and I will be reciting Cartoon Physics Part 1 by Nick Flynn. Children under, say, 10 shouldn't know that the universe is ever expanding, inexorably pushing into the vacuum, galaxies swallowed by galaxies, whole solar systems collapsing, all of it acted out in silence. At 10, we are still learning the rules of cartoon animation, that if a man draws a door on a rock, only he can pass through it. Anyone else who tries will crash into the rock. 10-year-olds should stick with burning houses, car wrecks, ships going down, earthbound, tangible disasters, arenas where they can be heroes. You can run back into a burning house. Sinking ships have lifeboats. The trucks will come with their ladders. If you jump, you will be saved. A child places her hand on the roof of a school bus and drives across a city of sand. She knows the exact spot it will skid, at which point the bridge will give, who will swim to safety, and who will be pulled under by sharks. She will learn that if a man runs off the edge of a cliff, he will not fall until he notices his mistake. Thank you.
Next, we'll call up Danielle Curbs, Battleground High School.
My name is Danielle, and I will be reciting A Locked House by W.D. Snodgrass. As we drove back, crossing the hill, the house still hidden in the trees, I always thought, a fool's fear, that it might have caught fire. Someone could have broken in, as if things must have been too good here. Still, we always found it locked tight, safe and sound. I mentioned that once as a joke. No doubt we spoke of the absurdity to fear some dour god's jealousy of our good fortune. From the farm next door, our neighbors saw no harm came to the things we cared for here. What did we have to fear? Maybe I should have thought, all such things rot, fall, barns, houses, furniture. We too are stronger than we were apart. We've grown together. Everything we own can burn. We know what counts. Some such idea. We said as much. We'd watched friends driven to betray, felt that love drained away some self they need. We'd said love, like a growth, can feed on hate we turn in and disguise. We warned ourselves that you might despise me, hate all we both loved best. None of us ever guessed. The house still stands, locked, as it stood untouched a good 2 years after you went. Some things passed in the settlement, some things slipped away. Enough's left that I come back sometimes. The theft and vandalism were our own. Maybe we should have known.
Next, we have Aliyah Mays, Camas High School.
My name is Aliyah Mays, and I will be reciting After Working 60 Hours Again for What Reason by Bob Hickok. The best job I had was moving a stone from one side of the road to the other. This required a permit, which required a bribe. The bribe took all my salary, yet because I hadn't finished the job, I had no salary. And to pay the bribe, I took a job moving the stone the other way. Because the official wanted his bribe, he gave me a permit for the second job. When I pointed out the work be best completed if I did nothing, he complimented my brain and wrote a letter to my employer suggesting promotion on stationery bearing the wings of a raptor spread in flight over a mountain smaller than the bird. My boss, fearing my intelligence, paid me to sleep on the sofa and take lunch with the official who required a bribe to keep anything from being done. When I told my parents, they wrote my brother to come home from university to be slapped on the back of the head. Dutifully, he arrived and bowed to receive his instruction, at which point sense entered his body, and he asked what I could do by way of a job. I told him that there were stones everywhere, trying not to move. All it took was a little gumption to be the man who didn't move them. It was harder to explain the intricacies of not obtaining a permit to not do this. Just yesterday, he got up at dawn and shaved, as if the lack of hair on his face has anything to do with the appearance of food on an empty table. Thank you.
Next, we have Samia Pelkey, Vancouver School of Arts and Academics.
Mr. Darcy by Victoria Chang. In the end, she just wanted the house and a horse, not much more. How do we separate the things from the man from the things? Is a man still the same without his reins? Here it rains every 15 minutes. It would be foolish to marry a man without an umbrella. did Cinderella really love the prince? Or just the prince on the curtains in the ballroom? Once I went window shopping, but I didn't want a window. When do you know it's time to get a new man? One who can win more things at the fair. I already have 4 stuffed pandas from the fair. I won fair and square. Is it time to be less square, to wear something more revealing? In North and South, she does the dealing, gives him the money in the end, but she falls in love with him when he has the money, when he is still running away. If the water's running in the other room, is it wrong for me to not want to chase it because it owns nothing else? When I wave to a man, I love what happens when another man with a lot more bags waves back.
Emily Pennington Davis from Trout Lake School.
Backdrop addresses Cowboy by Margaret Atwood. Star-spangled cowboy sauntering out of the almost silly west, on your face a porcelain grin, tugging a papier-mâché cactus on wheels behind you with a string. You are innocent as a bathtub full of bullets. Your righteous eyes, your laconic trigger fingers people the streets with villains. As you move, the air in front of you blossoms with targets, and you leave behind you a heroic trail of desolation, beer bottles slaughtered by the side of the road, bird skulls bleaching in the sunset. I ought to be watching from behind a cliff or a cardboard storefront when the shooting starts, hands clasped in admiration. But I am elsewhere. Then what about me? What about the I confronting you on that border you were always trying to cross? I am the horizon you ride towards, the thing you can never lasso. I am also what surrounds you, my brain scattered with your tin cans, bones, empty shells, the litter of your invasions. I am the space you desecrate as you pass through.
We'll go ahead and call up Jenna Singh, Heritage High School.
Memory as a Hearing Aid by Tony Hoagland. Somewhere, someone is asking a question, and I stand squinting at the classroom with one hand cupped behind my ear, trying to figure out where that voice is coming from. I might be already an old man, attempting to recall the night his hearing got misplaced. Front row center at a battle of the bands, where a lot of leather-clad, second-rate musicians amped up to dinosaur proportions test drove their equipment through our ears. Each time the drummer threw a tantrum, the guitarist whirled and sprayed us with machine gun riffs, as if they wished they could knock us quite literally dead. We called that fun in 1970. When we weren't sure our lives were worth surviving, I'm here to tell you that they were, and many of us did, despite ourselves. Though the road from there to here is paved with dead brain cells, parents shocked to silence, and squad cars painting the whole neighborhood. the quaking tent and texture of red jelly. Friends, we should have postmarks on our foreheads to show where we have been. We should have pointed ears or polka-dotted skin to show what we were thinking when we hot-rodded over God's front lawn and death kept blinking, but here I stand, an average-looking man staring at a room where someone blonde in braids, the beautiful belief in answers, is still asking questions. Through the silence in my dead ear, I can almost hear the future whisper to the past. It says that this is not a test, and everybody passes.
Jared Unger, Cedar Tree Classical Christian School.
Greetings. My name is Jared Unger, and I represent Cedar Tree Classical Christian School. I will be reciting Old Ironsides by Oliver Wendell Holmes. I tear her tattered ensign down. Long has it waved on high, and many an eye has danced to see that banner in the sky. Beneath it rung the battle shout, and burst the cannon's roar. The meteor of the ocean air shall sweep the clouds no more. Her deck, once red with heroes' blood, where knelt the vanquished foe, when winds were hurrying o'er the flood, and waves were white below. No more shall feel the victor's tread, or know the conquered knee. The harpies of the shore shall pluck the eagle of the sea. Oh, better that her shattered hulk should sink beneath the waves. Her thunder shook the mighty deep, and there should be her grave. Nailed to the mast her holy flag, set every threadbare sail, and give her to the God of storms, the lightning and the gale. Thank you.
Next, we have Cynthia Vasquez, Hayes Freedom High School.
That's good. Okay, hi. My name is Cynthia, and I will be doing Hope is a Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings a tune without the words, but never, yet never stops at all. It's oh, and sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could have bashed this little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the strangest sea, I've heard it in the strangest land and on the strangest sea, yet never, in extremity, it asked a crumb of me.
So it looks like we are ready to start round two. For this round, we will be going in reverse alphabetical order. So we will be starting with Cynthia Vasquez from Hayes Freedom High School.
So I will be doing stopping in a woods on a snowy evening by Robert Frost. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping by to watch his woods fill with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farm horse near. between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. His harness, he shakes his harness as if to his harness bells as if to ask if some mistake, if there is, to ask if is, as if there is a mistake. Oh, the only other sounds sweep this, the only other sounds sweep, the only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have a promise to keep. And miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep.
Next, we have Jared Unger, Cedar Tree Classical Christian School.
That should be good. Equus Caballus by Joel Nelson. I have run on middle fingernail through Eolithic morning. I have thundered down the coach road with the revolution's warning. I have carried countless errant knights who never found the grail. I have strained before the caissons. I have moved the nation's mail. I've made knights of lowly tribesmen and kings from ranks of peons. I have given pride and arrogance to riding men for eons. I have grazed among the lodges and the teepees and the yurts. I have felt the sting of the driving whips, lashes, spurs, and quirts. I am roguish. I am flightly. I am inbred. I am lowly. I'm a nightmare. I am wild. I am the horse. I am gallant and exalted. I am stately. I am noble. I am the horse. I have suffered gross indignities from the users and the winners. Felt the hand of kindness from the losers and the sinners. I have given for the cruel hand and given for the kind. Heaved a sigh at Appomattox when surrender had been signed. I can be tough as hardened steel, as fragile as a flower. I know not my endurance, and I know not my own power. I have died with heart exploded neath the cheering in the stands. Calmly stood beneath the hanging noose of vigilante bands. I have traveled under the conqueror and underneath the beaten. I have never chosen sides. I am the horse. The world is but a player's stage. My roles have numbered many, under blue or under gray. I am the horse. So I'll run on middle fingernail until the curtain closes. And I will win your triple crowns, and I will wear your roses. Toward you who took my freedom, I've no malice or remorse. I'll endure. This is my year. I am the horse. Thank you.
Next we have Jenna Singh, Heritage High School.
Sanctuary by Jean Valentine. People pray to each other the way I say you to someone else. Respectfully, intimately, desperately. The way someone says you to me. Hopefully, expectantly, intensely. Ub Oosterhuis. You, who I don't know. I don't know how to talk to you. What is it like for you there? Here, well, wanting solitude and talk, friendship, the uses of solitude, to imagine, to hear, learning Braille, to imagine other solitudes, but they will not be mine, to wait in the quiet, not to scatter the voices. What are you afraid of? What will happen? All this leaving and meetings? Yes. But death? What happens when you die? Not scatter the voices. Drown out, not make a house out of my own words, to be quiet in another throat, other eyes, listen for what it is like there. What word, what silence allowing? To drift in restlessness, repose, to run like water. What is it like there, right now? Listen, the crowding of the street, the room, everyone hunches in against the crowding, holding their breath against dread. What do you dread? What happens when you die? What do you dread in this room now, not listening now, not watching, safe inside my own skin? To die, not having listened, not having asked, to have scattered life. Yes, I know, the thread you have to keep finding over again to follow it back to life, I know. Impossible. Sometimes.
Next, we have Emily Pennington Davis, Trout Lake School.
Eating Poetry by Mark Strand. Ink runs from the corners of my mouth. There is no happiness like mine. I have been eating poetry. The librarian does not believe what she sees. Her eyes are sad, and she walks with her hands in her dress. The poems are gone. The light is dim. The dogs are on the basement stairs and coming up. Their eyeballs roll. Their blonde legs burn like brush. The poor librarian begins to stamp her feet and weep. She does not understand. When I get on my knees and lick her hand, she screams. I am a new man. I snarl at her and bark. I romp with joy in the bookish dark.
Next, we have Samia Pelkey, Vancouver School of Arts and Academics.
Mulberry Fields by Lucille Clifton. They thought the field was wasting, and so they gathered the marker rocks and stones and piled them into a barn. They say that the rocks were shaped, some of them scratched with triangles and other forms. They must have been trying to invent some new language. They say the rocks went to build that wall there guarding the manor, and some few were used for the state house. Crops refused to grow. I say the stones marked an old tongue, and it was called eternity and pointed toward the river. I say that after that collection, no pillow in the big house dreamed. I say that somewhere under here molders one called Alice, whose great-grandson is old now too and refuses to talk about slavery. I say that at the master's table, only one plate is set for supper. I say no seed can flourish on this ground, once planted, then forsaken. Wild berries warm a field of bones. Bloom how you must, I say.
Next we have Aria Mays, Camas High School.
Aria by David Barber. What if it were possible to vanquish all this shame with a wash of varnish, instead of wishing the stain would vanish? What if you gave it a glossy finish? What if there were a way to burnish all this foolishness, all the anguish? What if you gave yourself leave to ravish all these ravages with famished relish? What if this were your way to flourish? What if the self you love to punish, knavish, peevish, wolfish, sheepish, were all slicked up in something lavish? Why so squeamish? Why make a fetish out of everything you must relinquish? Why not embellish what you can't abolish? What would be left if you couldn't brandish all the slavishness you failed to banish? What would you be without this gibberish? What if the true worth of the varnish were to replenish your resolve to vanquish every vain wish before you vanish? Thank you.
Next we have Danielle Kurz, Battleground High School.
That's not quite. How does this thing work? Oh my gosh, that's how it works. Okay. Prisoners by Denise Levertov. Though the road turn at last to death's ordinary door, and we knock there, ready to enter, and it opens easily for us, yet all the long journey we shall have gone in chains, fed on knowledge apples, acrid and riddled with grubs. We taste other food that life, like a charitable farm girl, holds out to us as we pass, but our mouths are puckered, a taint of ash on the tongue. It's not joy that we've lost. Wildfire, it flares in dark or shine as it will. What's gone is common happiness. Plain bread we could eat with the old apple of knowledge. That old one. It griped us sometimes, but it was firm, tart, sometimes delectable. The ashen apple of these days grew from poisoned soil. We are prisoners and must eat our ration. All the long road in chains, even if, after all, we come to death's ordinary door with time smiling its ordinary, long ago smile.
Next we have Meg Fritz, Stevenson High School.
Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. And yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Thank you.
Next, we have Michaela Cloyd at Ridgefield High School.
Oh my. Cadillac Moon by Kevin Young. Crashing, again Besquate sends fenders and letters headlong into each other. The future! Fusion! Ah! Big Bang, the Big Apple, Adams behind him, no sirens in sight. His career of careening since, at 6, playing stickball, a car stole his spleen. Blindsided. Move along, folks, nothing to see here. Driven does 2 caddies colliding, biting the dust he's begun to snort. Hit and run. Red Cross, the pill-pale ambulance inside out he hitched to the hospital. Joyride, hot-wired. Oh, the rush before the wreck. Each Cadillac, a Titanic, an iceberg that's met its match. Cabin flooded like an engine, drawing even dark shine from below deck. Flats fixed, chop shop, body work while you wait. In situ, the spleen, or lean, anterior view removed. Given Gray's Anatomy by his mother for recovery, 151 point. Reflection of the spleen turned forwards and to the right, like pages of a book. Besquate pulled into orbit with tide. The moon, gold as a tooth. A hubcap gleaming, gleamed, shined, swimming for land. Somewhere solid to spin his own obit.
So that concludes round 2 of our competition this evening. Let's give all of our students a quick round of applause. So you can all relax now, the hard part's over. We will take a short break for about 10 minutes or so, reconvening back here about 6:15. Just need a few minutes to calculate our scores, and then we will come back and recognize all of our students and also announce the 2 that will be advancing to the state competition. So stay tuned, we'll be back shortly. So again, congratulations students, you all did a fantastic job, and I know you're all itching to know who the 2 that are moving on to the state competition, but we're going to make you wait a few more minutes while we recognize all of our student poets this evening. So as I call your name, if you could come up and get a certificate, and I'd like to just recognize you and your participation this evening, and then make your way to the stage because we would like to get a group picture, and then I promise we will announce the 2 students. So Michaela Cloyd at Ridgefield High School. Meg Friss, Stevenson High School. Danielle Curbs, Battleground High School. Aliyah Mays, Camas High School. Samia Pelkey, Vancouver School of Arts and Academics. Emily Pennington Davis, Trout Lake School. Jenna Singh, Heritage High School. Jared Unger, Cedar Creek Classical Christian School. And last but not least, Cynthia Vasquez, Nays Freedom High School. I know that stage is tight, but I promise I'm going to squeeze you all on there so we can get a great group photo. Let's just give them one more round of applause. So the moment we've all been waiting for. So when I announce the two students, they'll be announced in no particular order, but these are the two students that will be advancing to the state competition in Tacoma. And the first student is Michaela Cloyd. And the second student is Samia Pelkey. Congratulations to our two winners, and congratulations to all of our students who are Thank you to all of our students, parents, teachers, judges, everyone that's been a part of this evening. Thank you so much for being here. It was a great event. We love hosting it here at the ESD every year. Again, thank you for being here. Have a great evening.